Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wild Woman Podcast. I'm so excited today. I have a beautiful lady, Rina, with me, and Rina is going to tell us about her story and share that with us. Firstly, I just want to mention that how I got to meet Rina because it's been a lovely experience for me. I think it was last October, Rina, but I had this feeling that I need to go to a reader, a tarot reader, an intuitive. I've done that many times over my life, but it was a really strong feeling. And out of the blue, a friend of mine I haven't seen in 10, 15 years was down in visiting in County Clare. And she texted me and said, "Would you like to come down and see me?" And I said, "Yes, I'd love to come down." And when I went down, I drove down to Ennistymen. Wasn't Ennistymen, it was near Ennistymen, near Doolin, sorry. And when we met, I said to her, "Gosh, I really would love to see." We just got chatting, and she said, "Maybe let's go into the rock shop. Sometimes there are, notices up." So we did, and I found this poster or a little leaflet for Rina, who's here with me today. And then I came back to Galway, and literally I emailed her, and she said, "Oh, I'm going to be in Galway." I think it was the following weekend at the Holistic Fair. And I went and I had a reading with Rina. And I have to say, this was one of the most profound readings and uplifting readings, and so helpful that I've had in so many years. It's shifted so much in me, even in the last number of months, and in terms of tuning into my own gifts intuitively as well, which I
Yes.
believe are there for all of us and were there in me as a child. And I think I closed a lot of that down, as many of us do, for different reasons. So that has made me just so excited to talk to her. So first, after that long introduction, welcome, Rina. It's so lovely to have you here today.
Thanks for having me, Celine. I'm so glad to be here and to be
Oh,
able to share my story with your viewers. And yeah, that can happen sometimes. And many of my clients are usually led to me in some way. I heard very weird stories sometimes how they actually come to my room to get a reading, where sometimes it's just a friend that recommended it. Sometimes it's just something that they have found, like a leaflet somewhere or my business card somewhere, or they actually were uh, looking for a reader. But I heard many other different stories of how it actually happened, where I was there and they didn't expect it, and we're just
wow.
passing through the hotel on their journeys, and we're actually dealing with a problem uh, of some
Mm.
sort, and then realized I can actually drop for a reading, and
Yeah.
that's where it came
Yeah,
to my table.
it
Uh,
was beautiful, I have to
hmm.
say. So I'd love if you could just start, because I'm really curious. I read a little bit of your bio, but I won't go. I'll let you tell this yourself. And for anyone watching, you'll be able to read it. I'll include it, at the bottom of the video. But I think it just is lovely to hear Rina tell her whole story. So how did this all start? Were you tarot reading as a baby?
Yeah.
Or how?
Yeah, that would be something else.
Yeah.
That very early on, and in Poland, because that's where I was born and raised, and I had my wonderful childhood. That's the first thing to say. But as a little girl, I think I was 9 months old. Very early on, I got quite high fever, and my parents couldn't bring it down, and it had all to do with where teething, like when you get the
Mm,
new
mm.
teeth, and it was very high. So what really happened is my heart stopped at that moment, and I was I remember it so vividly, and I know I was very young, and many children just don't remember that age. But because I could already, walk and remember things, and I was watching people around me and how they behave and what they say, um, I remember it quite vividly. So I went to the other side where it's amazing. I wish I could just show it to everybody because it's a completely different world. It was full of spirits. The colors were so bright. There was music. There was a lot of love. So that's what I was feeling like, really kind of embraced by the spirits. And they kept showing me different things at that moment. And it really felt really, really long to me. You know, that journey was like, I don't know, it really felt like a whole day to me, really. Then I got introduced to my guides. I had two guides, and they have introduced themselves to me. Then they took me to another space where they showed me spirits of the people who have passed to the other side. And it looked amazing because it looked like uh, they would be in some sort of a place that connected them to the people who were grieving. And it looked like a little tunnel that connected them to people who were grieving and the feelings that their family was feeling and the pain, sorrow, everything that actually traveled up to them. So that this is something I saw, and the spirits show me these people, and they show me the people who were left behind. And I got that because they don't communicate with words. They send you the ideas. It's like a mind communication. They were just showing me this, and I was like, oh my God, as a little child, that is so sad that they stay here because there is so much pain over here. And then they brought me to another place where they showed me my short life, my parents, how they met. It was all flashes, my siblings. And I traveled, it was like a tunnel. So I traveled there and I saw my grandparents who were very welcoming there. They were like made of light. So it's an amazing feeling. And I really wish I could share it in a way that is different than words. Like if I could give it to every one of my clients just to show them, listen, this is a beautiful place. It's full of love. It's very forgiving, very kind of embracing. You feel like you are healed and like you are whole and like you are loved and 10 times more than you can ever experience it on earth. So unfortunately, I can't do it. I can only try to describe it. So what happened then is my parents ran to the neighbor, who was upstairs, and she was a nurse. So she really ran into the room, and I think she gave me some sort of injection and restarted the heart again. So after that, what happened? Because I wasn't speaking yet. At all. And I had older sister, she wasn't speaking either. But I started to kind of like it was fine then, like I came back to normal. I was a normal child, but I wasn't speaking, but I could hear everything, I could understand everything, and I could speak. And I was so impatient to start speaking to people. But I had these guides, and from that moment on, I could see them and I could hear them, and they were quite funny. They had a great sense of humor. So one of them was saying to me, let's the trick, let's play the game. We know you can speak, but you are too young to do it. So let's just do something like that. You will not speak. You will listen to people around you. You will listen to your family members. You will listen to neighbors. You will listen to people who sit around the table. And by listening to them, you will know them. You will learn about them. You will see them for who they truly are. And they said, but you don't speak. We tell you when to speak. And this is what I'm doing. I was really kind of watching people and, feeling them, connecting with them, like knowing things about them that they wouldn't, necessarily say. Which was really easy to do because in Poland, like every Polish person knows that we are very hospitable. So
Mm.
even Christmas, there's a lot of people around Christmas time. We have this dinner. If neighbor comes over, there's always coffee and cake.
What age
Yeah.
were you? So you said so you're still talking very, very young.
More than 9 months, 9 months to a year. So, but I was already walking and, understanding everything. And my mom always used to kind of sit me up on her knee so I could just watch everyone.
Wow.
And what happened is one of these guides came to me and he said, "Okay, you are ready. So let's play this little trick. Like it will be a joke. It will be so funny." I was like, "Okay, can't, what is it?" And it's all mind communication. It's not really speaking to them like in an actual words. So he said, just go to the kitchen and your mom is there. She's doing whatever dinner. I think it was a dinner, and just tell her that you're thirsty, you want something to drink, and she will be so surprised and she will be so happy. It will be a little joke. And I said, okay. No, so I ran to the kitchen, and I was still very small, and so I kind of up to the knees maybe of my mom. And I was like, "Mom, could you please give me something to drink because I'm thirsty?" And just as I'm talking to you now. And she was in a state of shock. And she called my dad. He came from work, and she was like, she was actually a bit freaked out, I must say. She was really kind of scared. And she was like, how is it that I can suddenly have full conversation with her? How is it that I can just talk to her and she's just answering and explaining things? I used to know words as well that uh, she found surprising, like, because I'm a firm believer in reincarnation, where you just go through different
Mm,
lifetimes.
me
That's
too.
a part of
Mm,
my faith, that where your soul grows when you learn different
mm,
experiences. And in a very early age you can still remember some things from that time, and sometimes quite a lot actually.
mm,
So she was saying, sometimes I used to watch you and you were playing and you have all this like architect words from architecture that I didn't even know. And you were explaining to your older sister and younger sister what it actually is, but they weren't speaking. You are the only one talking. So I haven't, I keep talking, as you can see, that hasn't changed. So I was seeing spirits as well. And I knew things that will happen in the future from then on, and my spirit guides, they stayed with me um,
and
through
what
my lifetime.
and
So they
yeah.
never went.
And
Mm.
Rina, can I ask you? So, okay, it sounds like for you, you said you started speaking and you surprised your mother. She's like, how can she say all these
Yeah.
words? And did you
Mm.
find, did you stay, it sounds like you stayed connected to those guides and that aspect of you throughout your life that like did you obviously had a supportive
Mm.
family, I'm guessing, and your parents didn't go, oh, that's crazy. How did they, how were they as you were
Oh,
growing up?
never really stopped me from doing what I want to do. They always encouraged me,
Mm,
and that was very good of them. So some people grow up in households where there's a certain expectation for them to fulfill. Like their parents have different ambitions and will
mm-hmm,
say, okay, we want you to be a doctor, we want you to be a lawyer, we want you to be this or that. And my parents were never like that. They were always saying, even with their religion, like they were always saying, when you grow up, you choose your religion. Whatever you want to do, it depends on you. We're never going to put things on you and force you to do things. Uh, you know, in that sort of way. That what was very important to them is, to raise a person who would be a good person. So those values are very important to me. It's like honesty, integrity, uh, all those values that are very strong, like a core of values, which is uh, acceptance, being non-judgmental, uh, seeing all people as valuable, no matter what's their job, no matter what's their income, no matter what's their experience. And I really do. I really do. Every client, I write for many clients, and every client that comes to me, it's like I don't know how to describe it. It's like a beautiful soul who might not know they have it in them. Unique, totally unique. Each of them totally unique. And so many, I never met two people who are the same, or I never met anybody who doesn't have a meaning in their life, even if they don't know it, who doesn't
mm,
change the lives of other people around them in some sort of way, and positive way too. Many people just don't see it. And my task is just as a tarot reader to show it to them. because, they feel like my life has no meaning. I don't know why I'm here on earth. I feel unlucky. I feel unhappy. I feel unloved. And I'm just
Mm,
like, wow, what? Let me please show you this, because this is what I'm seeing. I see it around you, and I see all these spirit guides, family in spirit also, who's there behind you, not on your own. Even if you feel like that sometimes, that's just an illusion. So
That's
yeah,
so
so I
beautiful. Yeah, that's so beautiful. Just to
yeah,
say to you, because you said I wish I could show people and what I'm seeing and feeling, but I
yeah,
have to say, even listening to you and when I was in your presence, when I had a reading with you,
yeah,
you do communicate that because, like you said, I don't, my own connection with my own, say, spirit guides or the non, I always say the unseen world, let's say, has
yeah,
really come online for me more and more and more, and really even starting this year. And I do credit that a lot to my session with you, because I believe, I think we all do when we're born, have that, but we then become involved in the world, and often the world tells us no, that's crazy, so we sort of shut
yeah,
it down so we're accepted.
yes,
So I think we're at a time, I feel that, because I'm seeing it in more people when we, often it is, I think it's, as well, it's the most beautiful thing you said, that the guide said to you just to listen before you spoke. And it's
yeah,
something I think is so important. When we sit
yes,
and listen, we really get a sense of who that person is, not just the words, but just it's the greatest
yeah,
gift, isn't it, to sit and
yeah, yeah.
um but just how you describe, I just need to say it to you energetically. I
Mhm.
imagine everybody who goes to you, you are communicating that to them, because I
Oh,
felt
thank
it.
you, Lucy.
Yeah, because it comes from your heart, it comes from your energy, and we are energy. So those people, sorry, I mean, so that is just a beautiful gift, you
Yeah,
doing that
I'm
and
glad to
lighting.
hear that. Yeah, I'm
No,
glad to hear
it's,
that. I tried my best
yeah, I
to
get the
just to
shivers
show
now
it.
when I say
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah, because I got
yeah.
such
I try my
a
best.
feat. Yeah, sorry for people listening. There's a little bit of a time delay, so just ignore. Don't mind. We're not talking over each other. It's just the way the
Thank you
technology
so much.
goes. But for those people who come
Hmm.
to you, I think that's so. So they are people. Do you believe those people on some level instinctively are remembering or know there's something more? Because otherwise, maybe they wouldn't come to you, because they'd say, oh, that's all crazy. So is there an opening or a hope? How would you describe? You said sometimes they feel stuck or they're maybe struggling. Is it that brings them to you?
Very difficult because, like many people, that starts with love. Okay, it starts with love, and it's not
Mm,
only love to other people. If love is, it is love to yourself. Like it's the first stage, and many people don't have that. I wouldn't even say courage. It's not a courage. It's more like that that view. It all depends how were they raised, okay?
mm-hmm,
Who was around them? What words did they hear which were said about them that they started to believe, and they started to kind of act accordingly to it. But then
mm,
it's nearly like putting them in some type of a mold that it wasn't done. Most of the time, it wasn't done to hurt them, but it's just, the beliefs of their parents and people around them, and they thought it's the best thing to say or to do, or it's because they were raised that way themselves that they just continued. So I think it's quite important for everyone to just, once they grow up, put that aside and kind of look inside and kind of reinvent themselves.
mm,
Because that's what I'm saying. You just need to find out who you truly are, and that's where the learning process starts. It
mm.
goes who you are not. What is it
Yes.
that you believe? What is true for you? And don't be afraid to admit it to yourself, because sometimes there's this conflict between what is expected of me, what does the society expect of me, and what is it that I really feel. So if there's this constant conflict between both of these things, that's where people just kind of move more towards that direction of what other people around them want, instead of just being like, okay, it's not about being selfish, but it's about being true to yourself, and then you can be true to other people that way.
Yeah,
Because
I
you are
love that.
very authentic. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
it's
And for
very
someone,
complex fight.
yeah, what was you saying there?
I simplified it a little bit. It's quite complex, but it's simple vision.
Yeah.
That's the simple path. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And how would, for someone who might say, well, I don't know, like, I don't know who I am. I can't relate to what you're saying. You're talking about all these things that you see and you feel, and I don't. How would you help or guide someone to sort of connect with that? Because I know what you're saying. You're saying, yes, all these things. And sometimes, like I had that experience, I think for many of us, it can be something difficult in our lives will happen to sort of snap us out of this nearly illusion of this is the way your life has to be, because, and there's nothing wrong with it, but
Yes.
often that isn't who we
Yeah.
really are or what we're meant to do. So for someone maybe who hasn't
Yes.
reached that stage, like I had to go through a difficult illness, that was one thing, and that shifted my life.
Yeah.
So if someone's saying that to you, okay, how do I go about connecting with that, or really connecting with it in myself? What would you
Find
say to them?
myself, finding myself, especially after something that I call, it's like a tower moment. Like some people,
Mm,
because even in tarot, you just say, okay, so you are in this situation and you don't like it. You're not happy. You feel kind of stuck. You feel frozen. You are a bit depressed, which is just like suppressed anger at
yeah.
your circumstances and your inability to change it, which causes this stagnation and depression and static energy around you. What do you do then? Well, if you don't do anything, if you don't move, if you don't make any type of a shift, usually what happens in the universe, and because as souls, we are here to grow. We are not here to be
Mm,
comfortable and stay in one position, especially when it stops us from progressing as a spiritual beings. So usually what happens is you get this tower moment where there's an illness, relationship breaks up, family member dies, but it's not because of you. It was meant to be. It is your journey. It is your path. And then you are forced. Everything just smashes to pieces, and you are forced to face it, right? You're forced to face yourself and pick up these puzzles again off the floor. And then you just realize you can't put them back in the same way as they used to be. You can't, because you just don't feel it anymore. You can't be
mm,
in that. You have changed. This experience has changed you. So then the easiest way, and I'm not saying even the easiest, the simplest way, the only really way is start looking within yourself and, what brings you joy? That's, I always say to people that, what brings you joy?
mm,
Focus on that. You can go back to your childhood, but think about any joyful experiences you had in your life when you were feeling really fulfilled, really kind of happy, really like you are yourself, like you can breathe, because that's the feeling. Anytime you get that feeling like, oh, I actually feel quite free, I can breathe. So it's a good feeling. It's a good compass. Your inner intuition, your feelings around you, right? You can go to many people who can give you advice, who can steer you on that path. I always encourage people to connect with counselors, because these are quite wise
mm,
people who can show you different steps on your journey and what you could look at that you might not think about yourself. But generally, your compass is over here.
mm,
So if it doesn't feel right, it isn't right for you. It might be right for other people who have different personality, who have different outlook, but it's not right for you. So if it feels right for you, it is right for you. It is you just follow that light. It's like a guiding
yes,
light,
yes.
and you
I
make
call it the
one step
breadcrumb
at a
trail.
time.
Yes, isn't it? I've
Yeah,
I've sort of
yeah,
come to that in my own life. I keep calling it the
mm,
breadcrumb trail, because
yeah,
once I sort of, because we are a little bit, aren't we, sort of educated or conditioned to go, oh yeah, I want that in 5 years. And we're like, and often the universe and things will come in and go, no, and we're sent off on a, on a winding
mm,
path that, but we're shown the next step. That's one thing I keep saying, because, and I sometimes find it difficult to trust,
mm,
because my old way of controlling
mm,
will pop in and then I go, every time I do that, I get a little lesson and I go, okay. And
It's difficult to plan a journey, the whole journey before you start. It's like you wanted
mm,
to drive somewhere and you were like, okay, but there will be accident or broken something, then my car will break, or there is no petrol station there,
mm,
so maybe I should not even start. So
that's a
just
brilliant, yes,
planning
I know.
so right in advance is just not good. You need to, because if you make a detour, if there's like something you don't like or something that doesn't make you happy, uh, something that is a problem for you, you can always find ways to resolve it as you approach it, uh,
Yes,
because
rather than
the
at a
only thing,
distance, is
and
it? Yes.
yeah, 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 rather than making this large view ahead and saying, okay, you know i I don't know how can I do it, because sometimes you grow while you travel.
Yeah, that's
And
beautiful.
you try
Mm,
to solve it now, you don't have the skills. But once you approach it, you do, because there is a distance between now and then, that will
mm,
teach you that, different people will come into your life. They will teach you various things. You will pick up new skills. You will realize, you will know yourself more. So that huge thing in the distance wasn't that, it will turn up not to be that huge after all, when you are there, where you are actually standing there.
mm,
So that's important. And another important thing is to remember that, because many people live in the past, they have this ongoing thoughts about what's happened in the past, and they try to resolve it in their mind, or they have regrets that come from that period of time. Uh, and then many live also in the future, where they are very, ahead. But the truth is, the only time we have to, right now, only is right now, today. That's all. Nothing else. You can't do it tomorrow. You can't do it yesterday. You can only do it today. So if you want to improve anything in your life, that starts today, really.
mm,
Like, you do it today, and then the next day and the day after. You can have plans not too far. I try to never make my plans more than maybe 1 year in advance, and it's only like a rough sketch, uh,
mm.
because I don't want to restrict myself either with, something rigid,
Yeah,
where I might actually end up going on a different path later on.
yeah.
Just keeping it open,
And do you feel,
especially.
sorry, Rena, do you feel, I get the
Yeah.
sense, just even in my own life, it's like the world that we live in would tell us just what you've said there about trusting ourselves and not making plans too far ahead and just sort of, things show up that we need. It's like we're nearly reversing the what we've been taught. Like for most of us, it seems we're taught, no, you must have goals, you must have plans. If you don't, there's something wrong with you. And that was the biggest discovery
Mm,
for me after I got sick. I went, that's so stressful. That never worked for me. And I
yeah,
was very stressed.
yeah,
And now I
yeah,
much prefer the way I live. I know we have to make some plans. So do you
yeah.
feel it's like it feels in the world right now, it's like we're all being shifted around. Go, you've been living the wrong way. You've been living like from the outside in. You need to live from the inside out to be,
Mm, yeah.
what would I say, feel fulfilled or be quite content in your life.
It's like we are living beings, like trees. Like,
Yeah,
can you tell the tree to grow the branch in certain direction? Yes, you can, but then you won't have a natural tree, powerful tree.
yeah,
It's like, you
yeah.
can't do this. You can't plan it. It depends on seasons. Like, seasons change us. Like, every year we are different, and we grow, and
Mm,
things around us change, and there are different people, different circumstances. How can you plan for that? I don't think you can. I think the best way to deal with it is what really is, well, it's a contrast between having a plan and using this as my compass, my plan, because I do it and I force myself to do it. And then I'm just depressed because I don't really like to do it a year later. But it was on my plan. So I just follow it. And then I find myself being unhappy, to being like, what is actually my compass here? What is it? Is it all my values? I take them with me. If any of them I think are restricting me in any way or are causing any damage or are just to me or to other people. Like if I, for example, have a wrong assumptions about the world and myself, low self-esteem or whatever is there that can actually be quite restrictive, then that needs to change. Okay, so I just keep reassessing my worldview every year.
Mm,
Like I say, okay, do I still believe this to be true, or will I add something to it? Because it's like
mm,
learning, and that's my compass. But the core values stay, and that this is my compass actually through life. It's like a ship in the ocean, and the waves are there. They're moving you there. They're moving you here. You can't really plan. You know your course, right? You know where you want to
mm,
go, more or less, but you
mm.
can't really, cater for these waves. And that's what keeps you there. It's a bit like a lighthouse, maybe,
Lovely.
ahead.
So like your
Yeah, that's
values,
my goal. Yeah.
yeah, so your values really become the sort of what's important to
Yeah.
you and resonates with you in your heart and your body, what you're saying ends up becoming the broad direction. And then beyond that, and following what you enjoy, and then beyond that, life will bring you in guides or people or
Yes.
messengers.
Yeah. But the other thing is, what is your major goal? I'm
Mm,
not even saying like a small goals, and
mm-hmm,
that's that
mm,
you usually have, like when you know what is expected of us most of the time. But the major goal is like, as a soul, if I one day, and I know it will happen one day, I will pass away to the other side. What is it that I bring with me? uh, what is it that I did? What and to me, it's mostly service to other people. It's
mm,
like helping them, bringing them. That's my major goal. And
mm,
what way I do it depends on me. And what is the most powerful way in which I can help, right? So if I see like a lost soul somewhere there in this ocean and being tossed, and I'm just like, hey, come over here, I show you the light, I show you I show you what you can do with it, and then you choose your path, because I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I want to show you your different options as well. And
mm.
so it's not only about me and my joy and enjoying myself and
Yes,
having my values, and it's also about being tolerant, to other views, because it's so beautiful that there's a diversity. If you think about it, if God wanted to create, you didn't like diversity, he would only create one flower, and that would be it, one bird and one type of tree, one type of human. But that diversity is the power, like different opinions, different views, different perspectives. It's all very powerful experience.
yeah,
It helps us to
yeah,
learn too. Yeah, by just encountering it. I learn all the time from different people, from my clients, from other uh, talented mediums, tarot readers, healers. So whoever is out
yes,
there, I always learn, and that's my goal: to learn, and
yes.
to learn. Yeah.
And talk a little bit about Rena. So for you, just even going back as you grew up, just a little bit for a moment, because I'm just thinking you obviously had a lot of support, like in terms of your family said to you, about having values and integrity, but they didn't force you down a particular path or encourage you
Yeah.
down a particular path.
Yeah.
So what form did that take as you grew up? Did you start doing readings for people when you were quite young, or did you just sort of stay in your own sort of
It's quite
kept it quiet?
a start, because I was an introvert, to be honest, because I was talking a lot, and then later, uh, when I went to school, uh, it kind of I couldn't find a common language with the children around me as much,
Mm.
because I grew up, and I was quite small, and then I became suddenly very quickly quite tall, smaller than me. They used to call me giraffe. So I was like, okay, okay, that's fine. And then I discovered books, which, I with my love of learning new things and
Mm,
experiencing different worlds, it was something like groundbreaking. I learned to read really quickly too. So I was reading a lot, and then my parents actually decided to move the house, and we used to live in like a block of apartments when I was a child. But then later decided to, the children, they need nature, calmer environment. So let's move, and we moved to this beautiful house, old, but I find with a lot of character. Which there was attic there, and my parents, because they loved books too, they had loads of books and no space to put them in, like no real bookshelves over there. So they put the books into the boxes, and they kind of put them up in the attic, which I discovered quite early, this attic and the books and the boxes. So I was just opening them and reading through the books, hiding in the attic if I could, and sometimes looking down at people on the street because I could see the whole street from the window in that attic. And then I opened one of the boxes, which was actually there in that house, because the previous owners, they left pictures there, they left love letters there, and they left different boxes there. And I, as a young girl, kind of, curious. It was like an
Yeah.
adventure to me, like a real treasure island of things. Discovered this little box, and there were tarot cards in it, like used. It was a used deck. So I was like, oh my goodness, these are stories upon
Did you know
stories
what
on
it
the little
was?
pieces of paper.
Yeah. Did you
Yes,
understand? No, at that age, you didn't. You just, no.
but I really took them in, and I was like, okay, first of all, at the start, I didn't. I was just looking through the boxes, and it felt like the pictures became alive. Like there were bits jumping out at me, like bits of the pictures, and like this. Uh, it was an old deck, old style deck. So that's something that some cards were missing in this deck as well. But whatever was there, tarot wasn't big back then, in the 90s, like 80s and 90s, really in
Mm.
Poland. There weren't many decks, so this was quite rare to find it there, amongst other things that the previous owners left. I think they traveled a little bit because there were different items from different countries there too, in the attic. Uh, yeah, so that's how I started to kind of by watching the pictures, and then my guides were telling me stories also about these experiences that were shown on the pictures in the cards. So then later on, as I became teenager, I always kept them with me everywhere. Everywhere I went, I had them in my backpack. They're the most precious item I possessed at that time. So yeah, and later I became a teenager. So you know how teenagers are.
Mhm.
They're like, I have cards, and can you do a read for me? Because I like that boy in the other class. Can you show me? And that's how it started, and I started to do like little readings back then. And then the more I matured, the
Mhm.
more I searched for more information about it. And I don't know, it felt like having a person in my life, the cards, because I didn't, I rarely asked about myself, but I could see how much it helped other people who came to me for
Mm.
reading. And
But you
it
were
also gave
trusting
me,
yourself. Sorry. But you had a strong
mm,
sense of connection or trust in what you
mm,
were getting. Someone,
yeah,
often I know people can say, but
mm,
oh, maybe I'm making, when you haven't, I suppose, developed or had that strong connection with your own voice or your own intuition,
yeah.
we can all go, oh no, that's my mind. You're just making something up. So you've had that
Mhm.
very strongly in you
Yeah,
all your
I
life.
did. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I did. And that the other thing is, sometimes when people came to me, I knew things anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And by having the cards, it helped me to also, I'm not saying I was using the cards because they usually show the same thing, but it helped me to present it in a less scary way to them. Because if somebody comes to you and you just tell them, Look, this, and that, and I know you're struggling with that," they will be like, "She's a witch, right? What?
Did what?
I
Sorry.
have my cards in front of me. How does she
Mm.
know everything about me? Or it's a bit frightening, right? To and don't think I'm doing that all the time. Even now, as a tarot reader, I only read people and cards when people come and ask me. That's one of the things I'm doing.
Yes,
It's
yes,
like etiquette.
yes, I
Back then,
understand.
when I was young, I was doing it the same way. But if somebody came to me and asked me, they would expect me to lay the cards for them, just to show them the images and to show them where do I have that knowledge. So
Mm,
that's a way. But I doubt myself? I didn't, because I always said to them, I can always be wrong, but this is what the cards are showing me. So let's say this is for entertainment purposes only.
yes, yes,
Always. That's all
yeah,
I always say to
yeah,
people. And I can always be wrong, right?
yeah.
But this is what I see. Most of the time, what I see is happening or is going to happen. That's the truth. But I always see that little gap there saying, right, uh, you know, I
But it
can always
sounds
be
like
wrong.
it's, yeah, but it also sounds like what you're doing is trying to help empower people and remind them of who they are and their gifts. And yes, we all have to find our own way, but it's like another form of, let's say, counseling or support or guidance. There's loads of, throughout my life, I love whether it's, and I always trust whether I'm guided to a counselor, a tarot card reader, a coach, a teacher, a mentor, because we don't, like you said, we don't, and we don't do this alone. So, I think, and I think, like you say, they're like, we're all adults and we all have free will. So we do have to take a certain amount of responsibility. It isn't
No,
up to anyone else.
yeah,
You can't live someone
no,
else's life or know really what it's
no,
like to be in their
no,
skin.
mm,
But you can, I love that you can
yeah,
help them, remind them of the light and of who they are. And
mm,
isn't that
yes.
sort of
You
helping
can
them
also
tune
look
into
into
that?
the future.
Yes,
Yeah, you can
yes.
look into the future based on current energy. Uh,
Okay. Yeah.
and some events are already pre-planned. They are already, before you come here as a soul, you plan your
Yes.
journey. And
Mm,
that can be picked up by, you know, tarot reading as well. It's just saying, okay, I'm
yeah.
sorry, I just see you going that way, but I might be wrong. Number one, you have always choices. So whatever your
Yes.
choices create your reality. That's true. Everyday
Of
choices creates your,
course they do. Yeah.
experience in this life. So if you have that outcome and I show you in the future, this based on what you are doing right now, that's where you are going. Because
Mm,
that's even a few years from now, that's where are you going to be.
mm.
If you don't like that outcome, you can still try to change it by changing your current circumstances or changing the way you approach the subject.
Like say with cancer, someone might say, well, you pre-plan that. Some parts of me believe I did, or some big event that definitely.
Yeah.
So would you say, well, like what you're saying there, okay, in some cases there are big events like that we did sort of lay out in our life so that we would experience lots of different things, not as I never see it as what would I say, a judgment or a punishment at all, because it's
Oh,
given me
yeah.
so many gifts. And maybe that is the path my soul chose to grow. Is that how you sort of would see certain big events? Even though still, if I had changed my life earlier, which I had choice to do, maybe
It
that wouldn't have
happened.
come to that.
That's what I want to. Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm sometimes seeing too, that some things can be changed. Like some things can, some things can't. So not
Mm,
everything. Not everything is set in stone, but some events are like
yeah,
there's no way to avoid it.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
that
I do see
you
that for me with cancer, because I often say to people, I had a car accident the year before. I had a lot of different things,
Mhm.
and I knew I needed to change. But sometimes the world we're in, I think this is, and I often meet people like that going, but I don't know how to get out of this. I don't know how to stop this sort of treadmill I'm on. And
Yeah,
I remember, I'm not saying everybody has to get sick to change their life,
yeah,
but in my situation, I've I mentally I couldn't see how I could change. And I'm
way.
obviously there was a
That's
way I could, but I
yeah.
couldn't see it. And
See,
so cancer actually for me gave me about 2 years of just going quiet. It was the only thing that could have slowed me down.
yeah, going within and just finding yourself. It's like you
Mm,
lost a part of yourself in this life, and then suddenly you are being hit with this cancer diagnosis, and you're like, but wait a minute, I had plans 10 years from now. What's happened to them now? It did not matter. Why me? And all these questions uh, that are in your mind. But you do the natural thing then, of stopping and being like, what is important to me? Why am I here? What was my goal? What was my purpose? Let me what traumas did I go through in my life that have caused me also to feel pain? And I'm not saying it's connected to the cancer diagnosis. Like I'm very in the middle there, because many
Hmm.
people say, yeah, if you get illness, it's some type of your fault because you it's all tied to your emotions, it's all tied to this or that. So the news, some people say, like, they nearly take that diagnosis and throw it back at you and say, yeah, because you did this or that, you got this. I don't think that that's the way it works. We have so much pollution these days, yeah,
Yes,
so
yes,
much sites these days, like it's
exactly.
completely different,
Yes,
so it cannot always be explained in that. That's a very
yes,
simplistic way of
yes.
looking at things, and I don't sign up to it.
Yeah, no, I
you know
agree. I
yeah.
think it's personal though, isn't it? Each of us
Mm,
has to listen
yeah,
ourselves and see what that means. And exactly, I mean, there are so many
yeah,
poisons and foods, but
yeah, yeah,
it just seems to me, listening to you, bring everything back to the natural world and nature, which we are
yeah,
part of. It is sort of the
yes,
do you feel, I sort of feel that myself in life, that it's sort of the simplest way. Once you remember, we are nature, we're not machines, we're not AI, we're
yeah,
not robots. We're
yeah,
so
exactly.
if we are made of
That
the same material as the
we
trees
do.
and the
Yeah,
sea and the thing and animals, well then, the
yeah,
lessons of
it
nature, or the,
changes.
isn't it, the laws of nature
Exactly. It
apply to us.
changes your life then. See how much time we spend inside in these boxes we call houses. Totally. Most of the life, yeah. Many people don't even, see the sky, see the trees, don't pay attention to them. They just go to work, stay in the box at work, go back home, stay in the box at home.
Yeah.
So that connection is very important. And it's also good for your body because, winter season is the time for rest,
Yes.
withdrawal, conserving energy. Then springtime is time to actually start new projects. And if you do that in your life as well, you are very in tune with the nature. Then summertime is harvest time, like late summertime. So that's a
Mm.
very good, and even with the foods you're eating, if they are seasonal, if they are, I would say, Irish, because,
Yes.
beautiful
We live
vegetables
here.
here we have.
Yes.
Yeah, or from farmers market to support our brave farmers as well, with
Yes.
beautiful products from here. That is very healing. That still has life in them, like the chi
Mm.
energy in the vegetables and
Exact.
whatever you
Yes.
are eating. Uh, so, that is connection, and it makes you stronger too on many levels, like on a frequency levels. And me as a
Mm.
medium tarot reader, I always try to keep my frequency quite high. So gratitude is a huge thing. Forgiveness for to people who have maybe hurt you in the past and didn't realize it, or it wasn't their, if they did
Mm.
realize it, it's still very good to do all of these things. So it's like a work on yourself, but also living in peace with yourself and with others around you, if you can. And
Mm.
if you are stuck and don't know what to do, just ask yourself, what would love do? What would a loving person do?
Mm.
Like, do I treat this person the way I would like to be treated myself? Like, do I like give that to them what I would like to get myself in this situation? That type of support, these type of words. And mostly people who are angry, mean, hurt other people are people who have been hurt in the past. That's what I'm saying, who are dealing with their own problems. It's never really personal. I never take it that way. It's like they have unresolved issues, and that's why they hurt inside and they go on hurting others around them. So that's something that's
Mm.
a quite a powerful lesson
It's
to learn.
very
And once
powerful.
you see this, it's so much easier to, move on from past pains and just said, okay, I just sent healing to him or her, or, or whoever that is, and love. And I really pray that they will, find their guidance, that their guides
Mm.
are working hard for them to make them, see it and change, or maybe see something different and not keep falling, into
It's
that
like breaking the
despair.
cycle a bit, isn't it? You know, who, as you said,
Yeah,
like I often heard that as well, hurt people. And we've all been
mm,
hurt
yeah,
unconsciously, usually. I know
mm,
it's something I've often struggled with myself in life where I can get caught in a sort of a
mm,
judgment and it's never ending and it only hurts yourself,
mm.
doesn't it?
Somebody has hurt you, somebody has said something, and you think, okay, maybe they were right, and it
Mm,
stays with you. Maybe that's who I am. Maybe, you know, maybe I'm not good enough. And that stays with you then. And this is what hurting you. It's not really that person, it's your own
mm,
thoughts about it, how you process
yes,
it. Yeah.
yes.
So that's the one thing. And the other thing is, some of my clients, when they had like a difficult relationship between their parents and themselves, I wish I could show them something else in it, because usually what happens is, if I get spirits coming from the other world, like to my clients, like somebody comes for a reading, and I just see, okay, here's your father in the spirit world, and that is the message. Never, not even once, did I not feel that there's a love coming from that spirit. There's huge love there. It's very warm, very embracing, and there's love. And in their lifetime, they may have been an awful person who actually hurt everybody around there. But underneath it, it's like peeling the onion. There was a love. They loved that child, and they never expressed it. They never said anything. And now they're here to say it, to explain it, to even apologize for certain events that they kind of keep showing me in different flashes. And I'm like,
Mm,
okay, this is what happened. This is what he said. This is what, changed you. And you have been carrying it with you through your whole life. And it really influenced your choices in the future. So here it is. And, that's all he can do then. Apologize, send energy, explain, say the words. Uh,
mm,
Many people don't have courage to say what they really feel to other people, but it's very important to do it as often as you can, to be open, because we wake up tomorrow. That's the truth. That is the truth for everybody. You
mm,
don't know if the next day will actually be there for you.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you're such an
that's
example of it because you have such joy about
yeah.
you that I can feel like it does seem what I'm learning. I'm not saying I'm great at it, is that the more
Mm,
that I can sort of, not say do that work in myself, but sort of come into that place. I think the whole
mm,
self-love that you say there, because a lot of this judgment or maybe lack of forgiveness of others usually comes, doesn't it, from our own, like what you said there is, oh,
mm,
maybe they're right, and our own lack of worth of
mm,
ourselves. How do you
mm.
suggest to people even to nurture that within ourselves? Like if someone is feeling, well, yeah, but I'm not worthy and I'm not good enough, it's sort of a, it can be a challenging one, can't it, in life?
No, be a challenge, yeah. Self-compassion is very important. Forgiving yourself for your own mistakes. That's how it starts. Like, even the simple task would be just take two pieces of paper and just write everything you like about you. And don't do it
Mm,
one day. Keep adding it. Then keep adding to the list. Every time you were presented with a challenge, and it worked for you, you did right, and you
mm,
kind of, you came through this obstacle. Every time, it can be coming from childhood, even silly things, all your successes, sit down, let's start with that. And
mm,
then, if you are, after a week or two, if you have run out of the ideas, and say, listen, I'm having a hard time these days, I'm a bit depressed, I'm a bit broken. Please take that list, and if you could do me a favor, or even family members, whoever is there, whoever loves you, please write down what is it that you appreciate about me, because I really need to see it, because I don't
mm,
see it, and I feel like I shouldn't be even here, because it's gone
mm,
so bad for me. I don't see my purpose. And then
mm.
do to the most of the people, especially if they love you, especially if they like you, they will. And then
Yeah.
take all these different things that you have and look at it and say, okay, so I did this, and what is it that I don't like about myself? That's another list. And write it down, and then see it, and see. Okay, if I did that and it wasn't right, why? Why did I do it? And be honest with yourself. Why did I do it? Okay, it was a foolish decision. So next time I won't make that decision again. Next time, or if I can make amends, I will apologize to whoever it is and make any type of amends I have. If they will forgive me, it's up to them, but I can only do my best at that moment.
Mm.
And it's easier. It's very forgiveness gives you this lightness. It's like, it's like carrying a load and then just shifting it. And it helps other people too. Because when they get to forgive you and when you apologize to them and you just say things as they were, they feel valued and they can detach from this painful experience. And you can detach, and you just,
Yeah.
it's a lesson. It's like two souls learning, bumping
Yeah.
into each other, hurting each other, and then saying, right, I'm sorry. I saw it in a different way. And he's or she's going like, yeah, I'm sorry too. And like, I didn't mean it. And I hope you know that. And then they kind of, okay, let's go our own ways now. And it's not only in relationships, it's in everything. uh,
Yeah.
that's the way it could be done, I think. That's one of the ways it could be done. And be compassionate with yourself, forgive
I
yourself,
know.
because if you can't forgive yourself, it's very hard to forgive others. Because how
Yes.
can you do that? How can you, if you stick to your own uh, like shortcomings and are beating yourself up constantly about them every single day, this is exactly what you do to other people. Then you will hold on to their faults, uh, things that you don't like about them, and will continue to kind of stab at them a little bit. That's the natural flow
Yeah.
of how it really goes in
It all
these
starts here. Yeah.
situations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It just,
it
it's like,
starts with you. Yeah.
yeah, no,
Mm.
and I keep
Mm.
seeing that, like whatever, don't they always say whatever you can see in others, you can only see it because it's in yourself, and that's the good and the not so good. So if you can see some
Yeah.
beautiful generosity and kindness or in someone else, it's because you have that within you. But also when you see the judgment, I know that if I'm criticizing someone else for judging, well, I'm judging too. Like I do my, to try and bring myself back to that as well as being compassionate. But I love what you say about writing those things down
Yes.
about ourselves and asking others, because I remember doing a course once, and I remember feeling, oh my God, I can't ask people. But we were trying to get a sense on this course of maybe where our gifts were in life, and to ask other people as well, to help us as well as feeling it ourselves. So we had to
Mm.
ask people to fill out a little questionnaire and say, what did they think maybe we were good at, or positive things about us. And it was really nice because it wasn't looking for praise, it was just trying to help maybe build our own confidence around
Mm.
what it is
Yeah.
people appreciate about us. Isn't that
Yeah.
what it is? It's
Because you are your worst critic. So you keep
yeah.
going like, okay, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should be this, I should be done, or that, or even many people compare themselves to other people, and they're like,
Mm.
wow, they already have this, and I don't, and they are so successful, especially in times of social media where everybody is just
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
showing their imagined story of what life should be like, or what they would like it, or just showing happy stories, because most people do out there, like from their holidays or their happy life or anybody, and somebody can just look at it and be like, well, if I compare myself to this, it's very blank, it's very weak.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
easiest thing to do is just stop it, because this is just an image other people are projecting. Many people wear masks
Mm.
in order to protect themselves as well. So you don't really know what's inside. Like many people who are very happy, outgoing, that they can still suffer inside, but nobody gets to see that.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's the judgment that needs to be dropped. And
Yes.
that's about yourself too. Uh,
Yeah.
when you were when we come as a children, it's really when we grow up. I don't know, I don't really describe it. When you get born and you're a child, life people teach you, and life teaches you to go in many different directions, and you are being taught what is expected of you. And then once you are ready, the process of learning to know yourself is nearly like going back to that childhood. It's going back to that energy. It's like you're trying to retrieve yourself from this and only kind of keep whatever is valid for you as a soul. And then you kind of retrieve a little bit from it. And going back to that childish energy of joy, love, acceptance, curiosity.
And even as you said about the curiosity, I've had that feeling as well. It's just like we're peeling back layers all the time to get back to sort of the simplicity and maybe the remembrance of who we are and what we're here to do, really.
Souls, yeah,
But we get
yeah,
all
yeah.
these things outside and we're
Yeah.
pulled. So that's how I choose to see
Mm.
some of the challenges. Like we can't grow unless we have. Would that be your sense? I mean, I'm not saying we have to have these awfully difficult lives, but sometimes we need that to help us make a different
Yeah,
choice. Or how do you
yeah.
feel
It's
about
like a
that?
one big. Well, our lives are like it's like one big school when we learn by bouncing off each other, by being in each
Mm,
other's lives. We don't learn on your own. You learn in,
mm,
in a community.
yes.
People teach you and all these experiences, and you teach them. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm feeling. That's the way
We're
it
one
is.
big
And you
organism,
help
really.
yeah, yeah. It's like you learn, but you learn them. You help them to grow too, so they
Mm,
learn from you too, in
mm,
your lifetime. So it's all very important. The way, in a way, your progress influences the progress of other people too, because you meet them in your life, and you can, for example, just say one sentence to them, or
yeah.
just be there in the right moment, and that can change their path. So it's very important. That's why I'm just always saying there's no one on this earth who isn't important. Like for the spirit world, especially for God, for Creator, for, the spirit, every single soul has a purpose, has a meaning. Uh, and that's why I'm so sad always to see those people just,
Mm,
committing suicides and their journey. And it's like, yeah, it's very sad because if that person crossed their path, that one person who would say that sentence would be there. And I always pray for these people too. They would never do that because it's just a matter of moments. It's only a moment.
mm,
That they could just, wait it out maybe a little longer until,
yeah.
the help arrives. But that's what I always feel. And I always feel pulled to help people, to see that
Mm,
light if I
yeah.
can. And I'm not saying I'm doing any counseling. I always send people to counselors, to whoever is very qualified in it. But whatever I can do on my side as a tarot reader, as a medium, uh, whatever hope and light I can bring, I will.
Yeah.
And
Well, you
empowering
do.
yourself is, yeah,
You
thank
really
you.
do. You really do. Having
Mm,
having been to you, and I just think I love what you say as well about being of service, because that's what I feel too. That once we sort of find our own joy or path or whatever it is that we enjoy to do, like all the things you said, where you feel like I feel that now in my life. I know by trusting how I feel, and I can breathe. Okay, this is, and the minute my body gets really tense and tight, I know, okay, this isn't for me, or maybe I need to look at things a little differently. And when we start to move into that more, then we can be of service. But we can't really,
yeah,
can't we not? If you're in that sort of very
yeah,
constricted, unhappy, oh, I'm no good. Well, then,
yeah.
you
It's
can't
very
be of much
difficult
help to
then.
others.
Yeah, because you need to, it spills over. You need to
Yes.
first help yourself. That's the most important thing,
Yeah.
because then if you do, you can help others as well. And, it doesn't have to be huge. It can be on your family where you just love
Yeah.
them and you are
Yeah.
healthy and you're around. You can support them. You can just bring joy into their lives. And that's already a huge thing. even for one person, even if your family is very small and you just have husband or wife or partner, that's already huge. Or parents, that's already a huge thing.
It's
So
changing the
we are
world, isn't it?
always, yeah, we are always important to other people around us. As souls, we knew that. It's quite
Yeah,
exciting. We knew that
I
it's
know.
worth being here.
Yeah, that's why we came. It's an
Yeah.
exciting time
So
to be here.
for mhm. So it's very important. But you know, when you love yourself, it's very important to keep yourself uh, uplifted as well as doing all these kind of like even writing things down, uh, what people like about you, what you don't like about yourself, what you can do, you know, being grateful. So I like journaling quite a lot. So writing things down because it helps to organize your thoughts
Yes,
during the day. It helps you to kind of digest information too and
yes,
learn. That's
yes.
that's how it feels for me. And it's this quiet moment, having that quiet moment every day to yourself is very
Mm,
important. Many people don't get that. Even 10
mm,
minutes to yourself just to kind of, you know, breathe and reset yourself and gather your thoughts together. What I usually like to do for myself, I like to listen, or pay attention to the music I listen to, because I like there's a certain frequencies of music that can
mm,
heal your body and that they can calm you down and they can raise your vibration. So what I do is I usually go to like crystal sound baths, like
mm.
very local crystal healer, like Alice Lucian. It's
Yes,
very nice. I just lay down and it's kind of washes over me. I
yes.
can just relax and listen to this heavenly music. So it's you open yourself up and it's a joyful experience. So
Mm,
that's joy that I bring to my life, which is very important to even if you get a chance to have something at least once a day that brings you joy. If you even if you are a busy mom with
beautiful. Yeah,
children,
yeah,
you are working, anything, even a small joy every single day, and that's going to already let you. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be huge.
yeah.
It's just a moment
Lovely.
for yourself, like a gift to yourself.
Beautiful. I've noticed that as well.
Mm,
I often play, if I'm on the computer for any reason, I always have playing in the background, the higher frequency music, like the 432 or, the different higher frequencies. And
yeah,
I
yeah,
just can go into a different place of ease no matter what I'm
yes.
doing. I always have that playing in the
This,
background. And
yeah,
it's one simple way I've often said to people just to calm your nervous system while you're doing
yeah,
something else that is shifting, isn't it? It
yeah.
is shifting. And that's lovely
Yes,
advice.
because you go through something traumatic. I recently thought about it. I was listening to the radio station in the car when I was going somewhere. Many of the songs are kind of okay. They're beautiful, but they're full of pain, right?
Yes,
They're full of pain or suffering
yes.
or you know, heartbreak, and that when you are in that state of mind as a person, it really amplifies. It doesn't make
Mm,
you feel, it feels maybe good, but it doesn't really make you feel better. While if you turn
mm.
to this higher frequency music, it calms you down. It kind of smooths your energy field. It clears your chakras. It makes your, you know, energy kind of lift
Yeah,
in a
that's
in an
such a good
amazing way.
point
Yeah.
because when we're
Mm.
sad, we often listen to sad music thinking, oh, life is terrible. But
Yeah.
actually, really
Yes.
what you want to be doing is
You
listening
know,
to something that will shift you or help.
shift
Yeah,
you, yeah,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
you realize it's not as bad. But when you
yeah.
listen to the sad lyrics, it was like this was huge heartbreak. It wasn't. If you just think about it a bit rationally, that you know you weren't happy together. I can get this type of clients sometimes happy, yeah, start, and then
Mm,
it fell apart. You know, just look at it from different perspectives,
mm.
as well.
For
Yeah.
anyone at home, you've given loads of really valuable tips there about, how we can nurture ourselves every day. But in terms of connecting in, like, I think, often people might say, oh, I don't believe in that and there isn't anything more. But I suppose my feeling is, well, if you accept that you're a soul of some sort, you're powered by something, you're not a robot walking around, and that you have the sort of energies of nature within us, like we are organic. So, how do we tune into that? Like, how would you help people say, well, I'd love to be able to tune into that voice and that wisdom as well as you do? Because, you know, I think we all, I mean, obviously you have a particular gift around it, but do you believe that we all have access to that wisdom?
I think that the best advice I could give for that is listen to your intuition, but if you hear your voice, like your inner voice saying something to you, like your intuition, just don't brush it under the carpet. Don't be like, ah, no, I don't know why I thought that, and then kind of put layers above it, saying I should actually do something else because others say it, or that's expected of me, or my logical mind
Mm,
tells me I should go that path. But this is the silent, the more you listen to this voice, the louder it will get because it's like a
yes,
guest that you
yes.
invite. Once you listen to the guest, I
They'll
think they're
stay.
going to visit you again, right?
They go, okay, they're listening to me, I'll
Yeah.
stay. I love that. That's so true. And I've noticed that with myself ever since I started listening to that voice, because the other one wasn't working for me for years.
Yeah,
It was a very hard voice. I think that's the difference, isn't it, as
yeah,
well? To
yeah.
understand your intuitive voice, that voice of your soul that wants the best for you, isn't a critical, hard, you're
No,
no good voice. So it's like saying, no,
no,
we don't need that voice. Let's listen to the supportive voice.
yeah. And maybe still, if you don't, you learn the hard way. Then you're like, oh my goodness, I was actually feeling I should be doing this, and I did that, and that's the result of it. Things as another important thing is sometimes you hear that voice and you don't know why. It doesn't really make sense. It asks you, for example, I'm not saying it does it often, but it asks you, for example, to do something opposite to what you wanted to do. Like when say you wanted to leave a house at 10, and
Yeah.
it's just an example. I'm not saying, it's a very practical one, but I'm going to leave my house at 10 to go somewhere. And then you're like, well, I actually don't feel it. I feel I should just, hang around for a little bit longer. Uh, it's not logical. I don't know why. Uh, I have no clue why. Actually, it feels like maybe am I lazy? I just don't want to go. No, I'm not. I just kind of feel this feeling of stopping. It's there. It says stop. It says sit down, have coffee, stop, don't go there. It doesn't feel like if you look ahead of you and it doesn't feel like something right is right, or it doesn't feel like you look there and it feels weird. It feels negative for some reason, and you don't know why. And it can be with people, it can be with situations. That means, you know what? Stop, take a detour, wait and see. You don't have to decide right now. And usually what happens to people is they later find out why were they feeling that way. Why were they stopped that way? They later might or might not, but very often they might find out. And something that happens, especially in the beginning, where you start listening to that voice, just to prove to you that it's valid. So the
Mm.
spirits try to kind of encourage you and say, see, you listen. Is
Yeah,
intact.
yeah.
You would be late anyway, or this meeting never came ahead. So even if you went there, the people wouldn't be there, or
Mm,
anything like that. Where you are just, or you turned around and you were able to help someone because you were there in the
yeah,
right moment, and you
yeah,
didn't know why you turned around, or you stopped and you
mm,
don't know why you stopped. There
yeah,
was no logic to it, but
yeah,
see,
yeah,
listen to us, listen to the
yeah,
voice. So you get
yeah,
that encouragement along the way. So
yeah.
just trust yourself. Don't beat yourself up and don't try to say to yourself, oh, I'm foolish. Because,
Mm,
why? If anybody came here and asked me why, I don't know why. I'm just doing it, right?
yeah.
Because that's
And
how
I
it
can
feels. It
vouch for
feels
that.
right.
Yeah, because like a lot of the decisions I made after being
Mm.
sick really went against, let's say, the logic or the old version of me who listened to the, oh my God, you have to do this. And it was a lot out of fear. And I did start exactly as you said. Once I started, I got very strange. It's like that voice got really loud in me. Maybe I allowed it while I was sick. It became louder. Like you say, the more I listened, I'd go, oh, okay. Now, even to this day, 8 years later, I still can be resisting it. because I was so wired. We were so wired. But I love that you say that,
Yes.
because that voice does want the best for us. And it doesn't mean, like, I've had so many situations like that where I ended up, and I trusted now, where my body would be saying, I know I've something to do. And my body would go, no, not now. And I would have
Yeah.
always fought against it. And I would have found it
Yeah.
really stressful, because I have
Yes.
to do it. And the minute as I've started to do that, there's always been a reason. Usually someone has called me, or they've cancelled, or
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
always. So that is great advice. That is to just start,
Mhm.
even to start experimenting, isn't it, with it? Just
Yeah.
start experimenting with something
Yes.
small that isn't too, you know,
Yeah. You hear it usually, but when it's really loud, I would say it's
okay.
best to follow it. It's
Yes.
best to follow it because nothing is really so important that it cannot be rescheduled.
Yeah.
Uh, it cannot be, done at a different stage. Um,
Yeah.
sometimes it's good to even, we all have 24 hours a day. So even taking this 2 minutes to make a detour and turn around, if you feel like you should turn around or stop the car, or even, I don't know why I see trolley and go to the shopping center, grab another trolley, or, help someone,
Yeah.
help someone. I have very interesting experience lately. I think it
Mm-hmm.
was a few months back, but I still remember it when I went with my parents to do the shopping, and there
Mm-hmm.
was this young man on the bicycle, and he actually asked me if I need any help with all that shopping, and I'm fine. And he turned around, and then as I was with my mom in that shop, and then
Mm-hmm.
we went out of the shop to the car where my father was, and he said, "Do you know what happened to me? I you took control of you." And there was this youth, he actually approached me, and he helped me to put all the shopping into the boot. He drove away on a bicycle, and I said, "So lovely." So I wanted to make a good deed really badly on that day, and it was just really good. It was really good because, like, I wasn't feeling too good that day, and my parents are older, so
Yeah.
it did feel
That's so, yeah.
like a gift back then. On that day, it really did feel like a gift, and
Yeah.
so look around at other people as well, because people are usually so busy with their own things.
Mm.
They don't look,
Mm.
they don't see. uh, so when you see, you can do something, or you can offer support, or you can just say hello and smile, and that can make somebody's day. Maybe that person was on her own the whole day,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
nobody talked to her or him. And it's a huge, you're very aware of being here today, making a
Yeah.
difference today. There are plenty of ways to do that, and it doesn't have to be something huge. It can be huge to somebody else. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Rina. My
Yeah.
gosh, every time you say something, I'm going to say something back, and then I go, we'll be here all day. Well, you can always come back again.
Thank you.
And could I
Yeah.
ask you before we finish up, and I'm going to put all firstly, you have a website, so it's rinatarot.ie, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
RINATAROT.ie. I will put it in for
Yeah.
anyone listening,
Hmm.
Spotify, YouTube. I'm going to put it in the description box. And you do readings online as well as in person, don't you?
Yeah.
Because you're based in
I
Clare
do
in
reading.
Ireland.
I am. Yeah, I do readings over WhatsApp and Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, which is quite handy for many people, and also for anybody local. I do readings in Annie's Orchard Wellness Center and in Queen Community Center. And for anybody who is farther away from County Clare and doesn't like to get like this online experience, would prefer to see me in person, I travel with Dublin Mind, Body and Spirit holistic fairs. So we go to different towns, and with a group of talented tarot readers, mediums, holistic healers, vendors. It's a
Mm.
great group of people and amazing energy. So
Yeah.
it's a great place to visit, as you have seen yourself.
Yeah, and I've done it for years, because I found,
Yeah.
there are so many ways we can help ourselves, and I'm a big believer in, whatever it is that calls to you, follow it. It doesn't matter. It's going to be different for everyone. But the more we can nurture ourselves, mind, body, and spirit, that has changed my life. Once I started to see myself as more than just this physical body with nothing else, you know, once I started to connect with the soul and the greater part of myself, you just start to expand, and it's just magical. Life does have its challenges, but it becomes magical too. So that's fantastic. I'll put all of that in the description box. Would you like, we just said you might before, if you wouldn't mind, before we finish up, pulling a card maybe for, what's your sense? Would you like to pull a card for all of the listeners, anyone, whenever they watch this?
Of course.
And I just want to show one quick thing before you do that, Rina. When I had a reading with Rina, and I just had felt very guided around saying trays of Lisieux and the little rose, and I got these beautiful oracle cards just that she recommended, the rose oracle cards. I pulled one before I came on with you, and the card I got was the Mystic. So I think that's very much in line with speaking to you. The Mystic, a beautiful card.
Beautiful, they're stunning.
They're stunning
beautiful
cards.
Art, beautiful messages. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And here are the cards from, they are called angel cards, and they are created by Mark Bajerski, who is a spiritual teacher. He's a crystal healer as well.
Yes, I follow him. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I love his cards. So that's, I kind of feel drawn to pull a card for you, because you have been through such a powerful, difficult journey, and all other listeners who experience similar circumstances to yours, because I kind of feel like people can be drawn to your healing energy and what you went through and your experience. I shuffled it, and even this, because I shuffled these cards, and the card I selected is Angel of Healing, which is this beautiful card here. Let me show you here. So I'm going to read the message. I think it's the best way to go about it. It says, "You are a true healer. Any negativity that has attached to you through others will soon fall away. You are being given a powerful energy of protection which will remain with you. All you need to do is believe in us and be still today. Rest and allow us to help heal you. Sometimes it is the healer that needs a little healing too. So when you heal others, when you help others, you also need some healing, and you have your healing angels with you. You know, they can see your healing that you give to others through this podcast as well, to people who can listen, who can be encouraged. It's a huge light. And I'm so grateful to you for inviting me to share my story today.
Well, you have a beautiful story and a beautiful gifts. You have such light. I mean, that's my passion in doing this, is help, again, like you, hopefully bring some light into the world and share these beautiful people doing amazing things. That, you know, we hear so much bad news, like you said, and you know, and listen, and you go, there are so many wonderful things and so many wonderful people. I'm so grateful to have met and blown away by. So I just know, you're just such a gift, Rina.
Fantastic experience.
Back on for a quick announcement. I just meant to say in the conversation with Rina, she is starting a tarot course for beginners in September of this year. So if you want to be kept in the loop with details of the course or anything else she's doing, you can check out her website, renastarot.ie, but also make sure to follow her on Facebook, Rina's Tarot. I'm going to put all the details in the description box for those watching on YouTube, as well as obviously if you're listening on Spotify, you'll find the details there under the episode. So thank you again. It was a wonderful, wonderful conversation that I really enjoyed. I hope you did as well. And do make sure to reach out if you want to connect with Rina. Take care for now.